Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're going to unpack one single, really powerful story. And it gets at this fascinating idea. What if the biggest thing holding you back in life is just the way you see yourself?
So I want you to really think about this for a second. Is your mindset your greatest asset? You know, the thing that launches you forward? Or is it kind of a cage you might have built for yourself without even knowing it? Just let that sink in as we go.
Well, the answer to that question, it's found in a pretty unexpected place. We're talking about the middle of a crazy busy train station, and it all comes down to the story of one man. A man who was absolutely convinced he had nothing of value to offer the world.
All right, so first up, we've got to get inside this beggar's head, right? Let's talk about his mindset. His entire world, his whole reality, was built on this one single idea: taking. Why? Because in his mind, he had absolutely nothing to give.
I mean, picture this. Every single day, it's the same routine. He's out there in the crowds, and he has one and only one goal: ask, get, take. That's it. That wasn't just what he did. It was who he was. He genuinely believed his own worth was, well, zero.
And this is where things get interesting. Because you've got these two totally different ways of seeing the world about to slam right into each other. You've got the beggar's mindset, which is basically a one-way street. I have to ask to get anything. And then you have this completely different idea that's about to enter the picture, a mindset that's all about give and take, a two-way street.
And that brings us to this pivotal moment, the businessman's advice. It's just one encounter, a really simple conversation, but it ends up planting a seed that is going to change everything.
So the beggar walks up, right? He's expecting a handout, just like any other day. But instead of a coin, he gets a question that completely shakes up his world. The businessman isn't trying to be mean here. He's just living by his own rulebook, the principle of a fair exchange. And for the beggar, this idea is completely alien.
And that idea, wow, it just gets stuck in his head. It completely consumes him. For 2 solid days, he can't think about anything else. He's just wrestling with this question. How can I, a beggar who has nothing, possibly give something back? The question itself sounds simple, but from where he was standing, the answer felt impossible.
Okay, so after all that mental wrestling, he finally gets there. He figures out his first step. It's this flash of inspiration, this little light bulb moment where he just decides, you know what, I've got to try something different. And that one decision, that's the one that changes his life forever.
And look, it wasn't some big, complicated plan. On that third day, he's just sitting there by the station, and he sees something he must have walked past 1,000 times, but never really saw. Some flowers growing wild nearby. And this simple little idea pops into his head. Hey, I could give those.
So he creates this new little system for himself. Now, he doesn't stop begging, not yet anyway. He just adds one extra step to his routine. Step 1, pick some of those flowers. Step 2, ask for money, same as always. But now there's a step 3. For every single coin someone gives him, he gives them a flower back. And the result? It was immediate, and honestly, kind of amazing. People loved it. You could see it on their faces. They weren't just dropping a coin in his cup out of pity now. No, they were part of an exchange. It felt different. And because of this one tiny act of giving, he starts getting way more money than he ever did before.
So you see what's happening, right? He's not really just a beggar anymore. He's becoming something else, a merchant. But here's the crazy part. The biggest change hasn't even happened yet. See, his actions had changed, but in his own head, his identity was still the same. That is, until he runs into that same businessman again.
So a little while later, there he is on the train, and who does he see? The very same guy. This time he goes up to him and he's actually excited. He's not just there for a handout. He wants to show the man what he's done. He says something like, "Hey, today I've got something for you."
The businessman smiles, gives him some money, and takes the flower. And then he says it. The words that change everything. And that word, merchant. It just hits the guy like a lightning bolt. A merchant. He didn't say a beggar who gives things. He said a merchant.
And bam, in that 1 second, his entire view of himself just flips. It all clicks into place. He suddenly gets it. People aren't just giving him charity. They're buying his flowers. He wasn't a beggar at all. He was a businessman. He was selling a product. It's so powerful, right? His actions had already changed. It was his mind, his self-perception. That was the last piece of the puzzle.
So once that final piece, his own identity, snapped into place, his life didn't just change, it completely and permanently transformed. And I mean, think about how fast this all happened. On day 1, he's a beggar. That's it. Just 2 days later, he's a guy who gives something back. And then just 6 months after that merchant comment, he's a full-blown, successful flower merchant. It's incredible.
So yeah, you just never see him begging at that station again, because he's busy building a business. The story wraps up 6 months later when they meet one last time on the train. And this time, they're both dressed like successful businessmen. The former beggar thanks him and just perfectly sums it all up. He says, "That first time we met, you taught me what to do. The second time, you taught me who I am."
So, what's the big lesson here? Well, the whole story basically lays out this rule for success, right? We only really get back when we first give. You have to create value to receive value. But the deeper lesson, the really profound one, is that your thoughts literally create your reality. The world around you tends to reflect back what you believe about yourself.
So let's boil this down. What can you take away from this? It's really a 4-step process. First, you've got to change your thoughts, challenge those limiting beliefs. When you do that, you'll naturally raise your self-esteem because you'll start to see your own worth. That then frees you up to think bigger, to imagine more for yourself. And the final crucial step, you have to act on it. You have to go find your flower, that thing of value you can give.
And that really just leaves us with one last question to chew on, and it's a big one. I want you to ask yourself, what is your mindset forcing you to believe about yourself? What are the labels you've put on? Are you telling yourself you're a beggar when maybe, just maybe, you're surrounded by flowers you haven't even noticed yet?